I believe the NBA is the most profitable sport to bet on, and I want to teach you guys exactly what you should be doing to make a bunch of money this 2024-2025 NBA season. When you think about it from a volume perspective, it kind of just makes sense. An 82 regular game season for the NBA compared to the NFL that's only 17 games. So, more games equals more profitable betting opportunities for sharp sports bettors like me and now you. And because there is so many games and every single day, there's a lot more for these sports books to keep up with when setting their lines and odds. So that means there's a bigger chance for them to mess up or be slow when adjusting to certain news, lineups, injuries, etc. And that leads me to talk about the number one reason why the NBA is the best sport to bet on when you're trying to make money, and that's because lineups and injury news happen every single day, and sometimes they are so random the sports books can't keep up. Well, at least certain sports books fall behind, and you are able to take advantage of these lines before they adjust to the news. I'll give you guys an example right now. Let's say Jason Tatum is ruled out. He's randomly taking a rest day, but this happens 30 minutes before tip-off, right? Then the sportsbooks have to scramble to adjust their lines because Jason Tatum being out in the NBA is huge, not only for different player props, but also the spread, the probability for them to win. It really means a lot when a star player is ruled out in the NBA, even more so than the NFL. But think about it. Jason Tatum's ruled out. Jaylen Brown's points line now goes from 21.5 to maybe 24.5. It has to be raised because he's going to be taking more shots and having more opportunities on offense than if Jason Tatum was still in the game. And then same thing for rebound lines, right? Porzingis' rebound line now from maybe 7.5 gets bumped up to 8.5 or maybe 9.5. It really affects things on not only the Celtics side, but even the player props for whatever team they're facing. This happens literally all the time in the NBA, and you can take advantage of it. Now, unlike most sports, the NBA does kind of have a prime time for finding the best value, and that comes maybe an hour or 2 hours just before the tip-offs of the very first games of the night, because that's when injury news and lineup news gets announced before these games get tipped off. So if a typical starter on a team is ruled out, that affects the game a ton, especially the player props for the remaining players in the starting lineup and that player that was now moved to the bench or just not playing anymore. Sportsbooks are really good about setting lines and odds, and that's why they're profitable for a reason. It's in their best interest to set these lines and odds as accurately as possible, so that way they can make money off their sports bettors or customers, right? However, when these random lineup changes happen, they have to scramble to adjust their lines via their models and algorithms. But that leads to profitable betting opportunities for us sports bettors on books that are slow. And books that are slow, typically like Prizepicks, Underdog, some of these DFS apps. Check out this example right here. About 30 minutes before tip-off, typical starter Grayson Allen was ruled not starting. He was going to be coming off the bench, which I know Grayson Allen isn't a star player, but that affects a lot of things when he's going to be playing less minutes and not starting for the Suns. You can see that the sportsbooks adjusted to this news right here. You see, Grayson Allen was listed at 17.5 typically as a starter for his points plus rebounds. However, once this news was announced, the sportsbooks all adjusted and moved this line down to 13.5 with juice favoring his under. Prizepicks was slow to adjust and they still had him up at 17.5 points plus rebounds, so there was a huge edge taking the under of 17.5 on Prizepicks, getting a 75% chance to hit this prop on Prizepicks. But as you can see here, it wasn't just his points plus rebound line, it was his PRA, points, rebounds, and assists, was set to 19.5 originally when he was claimed to be a starter, and then whenever he was ruled coming off the bench, it was bumped down to 15.5 across the sportsbooks. His fantasy score, his actual points line, and even his points plus assists line. Insane the value you could get on Prizepicks when this happened because they were so slow to adjust. So this right here is actually Daily Grind Fantasy, and it's the website that I use to compare sportsbooks lines and odds back to Prizepicks, Underdog, and all those other DFS apps to find the best possible value like this every single day. I'll leave a link down below to Daily Grind Fantasy, and if you use code Dustin DGF, you will get 25% off your very first month. And Daily Grind Fantasy doesn't just have NBA, it shows the best value for all of your major sports and even line compares esports as well. Guys, you can implement the same strategies I'm talking about in NBA today throughout this video in all of these sports and esports as well. You can find a bunch of value throughout the NBA without even lineup or injury news, but I wanted to show you guys one more example here. You can see that Jarrett Allen was ruled out for the Cavs, and that affected not only the Cavs, but also the Magic's player props, because Jarrett Allen being a big man down low, that could affect rebounds, and he's a scorer as well. But let's look at this. We see Paolo Banchero was listed at 34 on Prizepicks, but the rest of the sportsbooks had bumped this up to 34.5 with juice on the over, or even up to 35.5 on multiple sportsbooks. Donovan Mitchell and Max Strus rebounds lines have now bumped up as well across the major sportsbooks. You can see Banchero's rebounds and assists went from 12 to 12.5 across the sportsbooks, and Wendell Carter, as well, as he is a big man, that would be down low with Jarrett Allen. So it just makes sense why these player props would adjust when somebody as big to the game as Jarrett Allen would be ruled out just before tip-off. I took that value and put it into a 5-leg flex on Prizepicks and cashed out for 10x. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen every single time. You are not guaranteed to win just because you got good value, but if you consistently get good value and beat the closing lines that the sportsbooks end with, you are going to be a profitable bettor in the NBA this season. Now, majority of my examples and strategy are focused around Prizepicks and those other DFS apps, but you can do this as straight betting as well. You can see Andrew Nembhard under 2.5 rebounds was listed at minus 105 odds on Flip, and there is huge value there. But why? When we look at Daily Grind Fantasy, comparing Flip back to the major sportsbook market, we can see that the rest of the market was close to minus 140, minus 139 to be exact, but let's say minus 140, when Flip has this listed at minus 105. Clearly, Flip is off from what the rest of the market is establishing these odds at. So basically what's going on here is that Flip is viewing this play as a less chance to hit than what the rest of the market is. Are you going to trust Flip or the other three sportsbooks that are agreeing this should be around minus 140? So they are giving this a 54.56% chance to hit. So you're getting a 3% edge because Flip is viewing it more so as like a 51% chance to hit. So that's why they have it priced at minus 105 compared to the minus 140. So that's the goal. Find whatever app or sportsbook is off from the rest of the market and play it there. Now let's switch gears back to Prizepicks and focus on what you should be looking for on a normal prop. A normal prop posted to Prizepicks, none of the injury news or lineup news props that are slow to adjust. This Luka play was listed at 3.5 on Prizepicks and 3.5 on the sportsbooks. So why are we recommending the over on Prizepicks? That's because look at the juice that the sportsbooks are giving this play, right? Average odds of minus 163 to go over 3.5 3-pointers made, right? Giving it a 58% chance to hit. Now, how do we find that 58% chance to hit? Daily Grind Fantasy does this on the back end, but they are removing the juice from the sportsbooks, what you are paying the sportsbooks just for placing that bet, right? What they are making off you from just placing that bet on the sportsbook. We can find the true fair odds percentage that these sportsbooks are giving this play to hit, and that's about 58%, also known as odds percent to hit. And same thing here with this Jaylen Brown play, listed at 5.5 rebounds on Prizepicks, same on the sportsbooks, but the sportsbooks, the data points are all saying this is heavily favored to go over 5.5 rebounds, right? Trust the market, trust the data and the sportsbooks that have multi-million-dollar algorithms and models setting these lines and odds for a reason, right? And then play it at the best possible odds you can find, because that's how you're going to be profitable long term. Get it at minus 119 in a 5 or 6 man flex on Prizepicks, which it should never be up on the Prizepicks board when it's that heavily favored on the sportsbooks, because long term you have an edge against Prizepicks, and Prizepicks doesn't like that. That's why they bump and remove props so fast, because they know that there's an edge against them on a play like this. But how do you know you have an edge against Prizepicks? Let me explain. 5 and 6 man flexes are the most profitable slip types and the easiest to be profitable long term when playing Prizepicks, because you need to be right on your individual legs playing 5 and 6 man flexes at 54.2 plus% of the time, right? So we're taking those plays that the sportsbooks, these multi-million-dollar companies, are giving 56, 57% chance to hit, right? And playing them in 5 and 6 man flexes long term, that's insane when you need to be right just 54% of the time. So they're saying that over and over and over again, if you play those props out 1,000 times, they're going to hit 57-ish% of the time. That's insane when you need to be right just 54.2% of the time. And if you're playing 2 and 3 man slips on Prizepicks, you need to stop immediately because you're making it harder on yourself. You need to be right on your individual legs or have a hit rate of above 58.5% of the time in 3 man slips and then 57.7% of the time in those 2 man powers. Guys, it's almost a 4% difference in hit rate that you have to have when playing those slip types compared to 5 and 6 man flexes. So yes, the ultimate goal is to find 5 or 6 plays that have insane value on Prizepicks when comparing to the rest of the market. You can see you are getting a full point-plus rebound on Valanciunas' lines on Prizepicks, lower than what the rest of the market has. Clearly, Prizepicks is off, and there is value taking the over of 20.5 on Prizepicks because you're going to trust the market, as I mentioned. Trust the 5 sportsbooks that are telling you this should be at 21.5 compared to just Prizepicks setting this line at 20.5. And if you do that, and you constantly get closing line value like this, where you're beating the market, you are going to be profitable playing Prizepicks, playing the NBA this year. Now, you're not going to win every single slip. Those are 5 and 6 leg parlays, but if you consistently get that little bit of an edge, 1 to 3% edge over and over again, it's going to add up. Think about it like flipping a weighted coin. If I had a coin that I knew was going to land on heads 52% of the time, right, and I was flipping for heads, you were flipping for tails, and you didn't know about it, over the long term, as we flip that coin, right, that 2% edge I'm getting on you is going to add up. Sure, you're going to go on runs where you have 10 tails in a row, but if we do this over 1,000 times, that 2% edge is going to keep showing up, and I am going to end up flipping heads more times than you are tails in the long term. This strategy, known as line comparing, is something that plenty of people are taking advantage of and seeing long-term profitable success by doing so, right? But they're not quitting after a stretch where you're losing 18 slips in a row, right? Because if you lose 18 6-leg slips in a row that are 25x payouts, and then you hit your very next one, you are extremely profitable over that stretch of slips just based off hitting one slip, right? But you can see, if you just stick to it, which these people are that are seeing that success, right, you are going to see a profitable NBA season. But it gets even easier to implement this strategy if manually line comparing using an odds screen like Daily Grind Fantasy's optimizers, as you guys can see here, is not your style, right? You don't want to have to manually look at all this and decipher what's good value, what's not. They have an AI slip generator that AI uses line comparing technologies to build out full slips that have value for you, right? You can see this slip right here is spit out by the AI slip generator, and all you simply do is reveal the slip and then play it on Underdog, right? Same thing for these other DFS apps like Bettor or even Prizepicks. And on Prizepicks, you can play slips with one click of a button that will load up your Prizepicks slip. Over here on Prizepicks, you just enter in the amount you would want to play, and you know that you are getting long-term profitable value by using AI that can quickly, way faster than you and I, line compare the sportsbooks back to whatever app and build out those slips. All you have to do is tail. And you can see here, since the AI slip generator launched at Daily Grind Fantasy, it is up over 2,000 units since 8/18 of 2023. Actually insane that we are now having AI do sports betting for us. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll leave a link down below for the AI slip generator as well. So yes, if you want to actually make money betting the NBA this season, you need to remove your emotions from your sports betting and start finding plays that have a real edge against the sportsbooks via line comparing. Stop betting Jason Tatum over his points line because he's your favorite player or the Celtics are your favorite team. I promise. Trust the sportsbooks. Trust the data. Everything that you think you know or can look up, like the last 5 game logs, last 10 game logs, that Jason Tatum's gone over of 7 of the last 10 games, that means nothing, right? The sportsbooks already know everything you think you know and more, and implement that into setting their own lines and odds based off their algorithms and multi-million-dollar models. So Trust the market, trust the sports books, get rid of everything that you think you know, all that heart stuff, and you will be profitable betting the NBA this season. That's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video or you learned something, and if you did, make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. We post sports betting content like this every single week.